Video game music. How has it impacted our lives? Do we owe a lot of what we know and how we do things to video game music? What qualifies as video game music even? I may not know all the answers, but I'm certainly open to discussing them. Join us now as we discuss all this and more on the very first episode of Pause and Effect Select Button. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Pause and Effects. I'm your host, CJ, and joining me this episode are my friends Anthony and Chris. Welcome back to the show, you two. How are you both doing?
Pretty good.
Yes.
Good to be back.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Like, it's been a while since we've done one of these episodes. Plus, this is the first episode that we're doing that will be uploaded to YouTube first before anywhere else. You guys excited?
We'll see how it plays out, especially with our theme today.
Yeah.
Only fans win.
Only fans win. Well, let's go with that. Okay, so this episode marks the first out of many to come in a series called Pause and Effect Select Button. If you come on the show 3 times as a guest, you not only get to pick the topic for the episode, but also ask questions for us to discuss at your own discretion. You don't have to if you don't want to, but the option is there. This episode's topic, coming to us from Anthony, is dedicated to video game music. Now, to start things off, do you have a favorite video game soundtrack?
I think it's a little early to be throwing right in on that.
I was expecting you to say, where were you with video game first music?
Where were you when video games first had their music?
I was at my computer when I got a phone call. Video game is music. No.
Yeah, like I wasn't even born when video games first music. Like,
God. Well, this is my topic, damn it. I'm taking over this podcast. I'm gonna run it to the ground. So
yeah, do it. Do it. Burn it all down. Go for it.
Burn it all down.
Give us your intro.
I said this was my podcast. I didn't say I was gonna run it well.
Oh, fair enough.
Fair enough.
How about this? Before we really come in, let's have cards on the table. Does anyone here actually have any kind of musical background? Because I feel like if we're going to discuss video game music, we should at least kind of lay our biases down. And like, do we actually know anything about music in any kind of professional sense?
So I've been a independent indie like music composer since like 2010, I would say. I've been doing this for at least 12 years. And even though I put out a lot of songs just for myself, just to practice, I have done some songs in a professional capacity, and some stuff can actually be heard in at least 2 video games that are out there on the market somewhere.
Really? I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, one game I did, which is arguably, I think, the most popular thing on my SoundCloud, was for a mobile game called Dribble. And then I also did music for a a game that I did while studying at DePaul University called Otak Politichki Stvorenia, which was a project done to in collaboration with University of Dubrovnik to help create a political identity simulator for high schoolers in Croatia.
That's epic.
That's crazy, actually. Wow. And I knew you made music, but I was fully expecting just like, oh, I made music on the side just to learn. And
yeah. Like a friend asked me, like, hey, can you make like a 30-second jingle for my video game / podcast? I'm like, oh, sure. Not like, oh, yeah, I made a game for a Croatian thing.
Yeah, right? Like, oh,
Like, what?
Actually, how I kind of got my professional start was one of my friends who knew that I made music, that was we were in a few classes together. He asked me on multiple occasions, like, hey, I'm doing this project for like a class that I'm doing that I coincidentally wasn't in, and he was like, do you think you could just make something really short for me? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. So I ended up on 2 separate occasions making at least one song for him, and it worked out.
Nice.
Damn.
I mean, he got the grade. I don't think I got the credit, but I think he at least shouted me out once.
Wow.
So that works.
Remember me when you make it big, baby.
Yeah, right. Remember us little guys that you stomp on. Jesus. And here I was like, oh well, I have a little background music. I can like mine comes from the fact that I have always been a sucker for music. Like ever since a kid, like music was always just a big draw to me. In fact, a lot of my clearest memories is music. To go off on a small tangent, one of the clearest moments I have as a kid was I think it was like some kind of tribute time to like Biggie Smalls, and they were playing that I'll Be Missing You over and over and over. I think it was on like B96 or something. And they were just playing that song over and over, and that's one of the clearest memories I have as a kid. But my actual experience in music, I picked up the piano a little bit as a kid, so I just kind of self-taught. I never really took any classes, at least as far as the piano. I was always just kind of plinking away at the keys, and eventually I just kind of started reading up on like compositions and theory, stuff like that. It wasn't until high school that I took an actual music class for the guitar, of all things. But I guess that it's up there with like the recorder, and that like it's just kind of the thing you pick up in school. So I did that for like 3 years, and I enjoyed it. It refined my technique a little bit and made me learn how to at least like look at music, like sheet music and stuff, and be able to like understand it even if I can't play it. But all these years later, since high school, I haven't touched a guitar, so I basically am back at zero on that. And as far as piano, it's really just like a when I have time kind of thing, which I basically have no time anymore. So it's my keyboard, I'm looking at it right now across the room, is just kind of sitting there gathering dust right now. But I really want to get back into it.
I'm kind of in a similar boat. I did piano lessons in grade school, guitar lessons in middle school, but none of that shit ever really stuck. Like, I think I got more enjoyment not out of like being taught how to play, but by like learning on my own organically how to play. Like,
yeah, but you put music actually out there. Like the most music I may have put out there was I dicked around in like Fruity Loops back when it was called Fruity Loops and not FL Studio nowadays. And I just plinked away on that for a while, so I can at least like mix. I can at least like put like a basic beat down, but that's about it.
I learned how to make Soldier Boy.
What about you then, if you're so smart?
I just said I'm the one who made Soldier Boy.
Is that right?
Yeah, I went around and I was like, do you want the song? And
it wasn't sure. Soldier Boy, it was Soldier Boy. Big difference.
just hit him with the, hey, who made this beat? You.
Oh my God.
That joke had to be made.
I guess. But the reason I ask is because, I mean, like I alluded to before, music was like a big part of my childhood, and like some of the memories I have of childhood, and even of some of my adult life is spent in music like that. And as corny as it is to say, it includes stuff like game soundtracks, because you know, a good soundtrack from whatever medium it is really kind of sticks with you, you know. So I have some soundtracks that are just like embedded in my head, and I can play it in the iPod that is my mind, to date myself there. Basically whenever I'm bored, just to kind of while away the hours, or if I'm like doing work or something and I can't access my actual music somewhere, So I'm curious because I'll answer on my end, but I'm curious if you guys have anything like that where it just like it is just stuck to you, where like you could just summon it into your mind whenever you want.
It kind of depends. Like for a lot of the more recent stuff, like in recent games, it has to like really stick out and stick in my head for me to just be able to like recount it. But older stuff like
yeah, I mean in general. I don't mean anything recent because it could be like an old memory or just something that really stuck with you because like, oh man, I really like that. Like just one that like again, like you could just bring to mind basically no matter what.
I mean, I feel like I'm in a very weird but also very rare position because my musical taste ended up being determined by listening to the soundtracks in the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games as a kid.
Oh man. I mean, I grew up with that stuff too. Some of those songs I still have on my lists.
Yeah, I found recently that some people on Spotify set up playlists for like every song from every game.
Yeah, I saw that too. And this is going to sound even dumber. I have ones from the Madden games.
I did not realize that. I've never played a Madden game in my life. I never realized that those games had like, licensed soundtracks.
The Madden NFL games, I don't know what it is with the ones in the 2000s, but they had some bangers in that soundtrack. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, they just picked like whatever was popular at the time.
Yeah, I guess that was it because there was a lot of stuff like that indie rock sound and like that lo-fi hip hop shit back when that stuff was really starting to kick into gear.
I think Madden 06 had Red Hot Chili Peppers in there once too.
Yeah, I remember stuff like Red Hot Chili Peppers and shit like Fall Out Boy and The Used and shit like Most Def and like what the hell is
Papa Roach?
Papa Roach. Oh god, yeah, it really carried on that legacy of just like this random eclectic mix of whatever the hell was popular at the time, like Tony Hawk did.
And it definitely worked for the better.
Oh yeah, again, like I remember those games, and I still have those songs on my list, or that's really how I discovered some artists. It's embarrassing to say that that's how I discovered Fall Out Boy.
I mean, there's no shame in that.
But
I mean, that's how I discovered Red Hot Chili Peppers was from Madden.
Well,
I was like, what's this Can't Stop song? It's pretty good.
I mean, I can't judge. I can't judge. Guitar Hero 3 was how I discovered Rise Against.
Oh, man. Well, we'll leave it to you, the viewer, to tell us which is the more embarrassing one. But I like.
I didn't know who Aerosmith was until I played Guitar Hero Aerosmith.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Now, okay.
I thought
hands down, hands down, that wins. Come on, man.
Wait, you think I was real? I knew who Aerosmith was. They did that song with those. Oh crap! I can't think of it now.
You know the song that they did with the thing.
I don't know. You know,
and there's the guy with the top hat and the mop.
No, that's Slash. That's Guns N' Roses.
Yeah,
the guys from Mega Man.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Damn, I'm trying to think of that song.
I don't know. That's cheating though, considering that that's just actual music.
Yeah.
Like stuff like Tony Hawk and Madden and Guitar Hero, because Guitar Hero is basically a cheat at this point, where it's like they're actual songs, and yeah, they have great songs in them, but it's like they're real songs. You could just go out and like buy the music somewhere.
Guitar Hero is just karaoke for guitarists.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
And some of those had some real bangers in them. But you could tell by 3 that they were running out of actual guitar music. That they were running out of music that actually had some real guitar work into it. No,
they didn't put a single AC/DC song.
No, well, I think that was all a licensing issue. So there were a lot of like, where's this song? Where's that song? Because that That was why.
Yeah, where's Metallica?
Did
Where's
they do a
Linkin Park?
Metallica one?
I think Rock Band did a Metallica one. I know there
Yeah,
was an
like, I know-
AC/DC Rock Band.
I remember the Beatles Rock Band. That's about it.
God.
And it's like, yeah, I like the Beatles, one of my favorites, but it's just like, did they really have a lot of like music that would constitute being in a Guitar Hero game like that? Like, does it have a lot of like actual guitar in there? I don't know. Like, I guess, but
Man, those were
like,
dark times.
I don't imagine shredding like a hair metal band to 8 days a week, you know? Like,
Wait, you don't listen to Twisted Sister every morning when you wake up?
no, because I'm not gonna take it.
Yeah, what about Quiet Riot? Don't you want to come and feel some noise?
Oh my god, we're just gonna go off on a tangent on actual music at this point.
Yeah. This is a podcast about video game music. So what's your opinion on Dark Side of the Moon? I feel like they really peaked at the wall.
I don't know, man.
My God.
I still like Wish You Were Here though.
Oh my God, Pigs, 3 different ones. Man, that was one of their best tracks.
Oh my god, we really are just gonna go off on a tangent.
What was the original question? How often do you listen to video game music? And the answer isn't every single minute of your life.
Oh yeah, I only listen to video game music and Calypso. Yeah, that's my Spotify playlist right there.
See, the sad thing is you're like half right. Half of my Spotify is just video game music.
I didn't know you were into Calypso.
I don't know who Calypso is. Is that like that one video game like Dead Space?
Sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah,
Move right along.
Let's anger some fans with that one.
Oh my god.
My God. I think the last thing I was listening to on Spotify earlier today before we started recording was Sweden from the Minecraft soundtrack.
That's a good one though. Minecraft, that's a game you don't expect to have a lot of good music into it until you actually put it on somewhere like outside of the game because the music is just random.
Yeah,
or like you have to find the records and such.
Minecraft, though, I would argue is the most like disproportionately stylized music to like how the game looks.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it sounds amazing. It doesn't sound like anything you would expect to hear in like a very blocky, like 16-bit, 8-bit soundtrack or like overworld like that.
I don't know. That comes with a lot of qualifiers though, because there's a lot of blocky 8-bit looking games that have banger soundtracks.
Oh, very true. Like I'm not trying to deny that. I'm
like
just saying.
most of them.
Yeah, right. It's just the fact that like the game starts off so quiet, or like you hear the music in the menu and it's like, oh, it's nice and ambient. It's it just kind of sets the mood that this is kind of just a game to relax to. And then they have some weird eclectic ones in there. It's like, oh, all right, this is cool.
I can rock with this. And then when you get to the end and it plays like that, I don't even know what kind of genre it is, but it's just some girl going, it's so good.
That's what I mean. Where it's like, what? All right, wasn't expecting that, but I can dig it.
Honestly, that probably helps Minecraft in its favor. There's a question for you. There's a way to change topics. What soundtrack do you think made the game better?
Better.
Like the game was good, but the soundtrack elevated it to like a tier above.
Ooh, that actually is a pretty good question. I have to think on that.
Zelda Ocarina of Time.
That's a cop out though.
Is it though?
It's a cop out in the same way Koji Kondo wrote that music, where it's just like he basically banged it out on a weekend. Is like, I ran out of time. Here you go, and it's like,
man, you say that, but half of creativity is best brought out under pressure.
That's true, though.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true. Because it wasn't something like he barely had any time to work on it, and he just like, I kind of just threw this together and I gave it to them and they took it. So like, I don't know.
You might be thinking of Majora's Mask, where he made all the stuff for Ocarina of Time, and they only had a year to make Majora's Mask, and he's like, I don't have any songs anymore because of the limited instrumentation and note signatures. Like, I only have one measure to play with. What do I do?
No, well, I know it was even more so with Majora's Mask, where he just kind of remixed everything, and it worked to its favor, considering that everything in that game is basically recycled. It's like that's clever. I like that.
I think every single major world, or not world, but like area, is a remix of the same song.
Yep, it
Something
is.
like that, yeah.
Like every single like cursed version of it, yeah. Otherwise, it just uses the standard Termina Field theme.
Nah, you want to know what improved? What soundtrack improved the game? Parappa the Rapper.
100% agree.
I feel like that's a cop out too.
Is it though?
What music made the game better? Well, a game about music, obviously.
Yeah, what better way? I'm trying to think of
You know what?
actual.
I'll take one too. Guitar Hero.
Now that's a cheat. I bent the rules. You just broke them.
You know, I ignored the rules. But here's one of mine. Sonic.
Okay, now that's actually a pretty good answer. But which one?
Honestly, the first three.
Okay, between those three, because they are pretty different too. I would say 3 stands out the most.
3 does stand out the most because of the Michael Jackson influence.
I mean, he basically was in that game.
Yeah.
Like he was all but in there, where they like wasn't it that like he wanted to and they contacted him and it was kind of like already agreed upon, but then something happened.
I think he loved it, but he hated the Genesis sound chip, so he gave up. But the other dude he was working with loved it and worked with. I don't know.
It was something like that, where like something happened somewhere where he didn't really appear on it, but he's basically there.
Basically, if you like zoom out like the title screen, the entire game just is a outline of his Smooth Criminal outfit.
And then we got the actual Michael Jackson game.
Yeah.
And then you get to hear it for real. And it's like some of them do translate well, but some of them don't, unfortunately.
Yeah. That Genesis sound chip, one of the best and worst ever.
Flew too close to the sun.
Another one with the Genesis, Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh wow! Wasn't expecting that one.
That soundtrack is so good because the entire game is like a funk, like an 80s funk theme, and they took it and rolled with it. And then the remake that came out however many years ago took all those tracks. I don't know if they made them better, because for me, I personally love the older stuff because it like feels more confined and like constrained with like the channels, whereas like nowadays there's no limit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I do like a lot of the older stuff too, like anything like 8-bit, 16-bit. Hell, like on occasion I'll still go back to the Super Mario World soundtrack and the Link to the Past soundtrack, because
yeah, those are so good.
Yeah, those are amazing. And it gets into a thing too where you start to see a dichotomy between like 2 different types of video game music. There's music that sounds like it would fit the game really well, or at least fit the area. And then there's music that sometimes I can't tell if I'm listening to like video game music or I'm listening to film scoring. And I did briefly bring that up in the Skyrim episode too, where I'm like, Skyrim's music, you'd be hard pressed to call it video game music because it sounds a lot more like film scoring and film composition, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, like, if I wanted to watch a movie with like that kind of like music scored to it, I'd rather just do that.
I think that's just a Western ideology with
I don't know about, I think that's part of it, but I think some of the other part of it is just the limitation of it, because the sounds and the music you think of when you think of the most iconic stuff are older, and the reason for that, and I know I'm curbing this from somewhere, I don't remember, is that because it was so limited, they only had to focus on the melody, and a good melody will carry.
Yeah.
Will really carry. I mean, again, I mean, you think of something like Zelda, where he basically banged it out real quick, but the fact is that those were really good melodies, and they just carried so well. They were good when they brought back the reinterpretations in Breath of the Wild, and people were losing their mind about it.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's like, it's like that. Oh, it's like, and people were just going nuts about it, even though it was like this ambient noise. But it brought back the familiar leitmotifs of those sounds you remember from Ocarina when you were a kid, when life was easier and all that good stuff. And suddenly the tears start coming.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did that in
that's what happened to me.
See,
did that in
I
Pokemon,
basically predicted it.
They did that in Sun and Moon too. The Sun and Moon champion
Ah,
theme brings back the
Oh,
title
that's
screen
no.
from Red and Blue, and when you first hear that, you're just like, oh, it's like the originals.
Nah,
But then when you
that's my
it's
answer
so
right
good.
there. Pokemon second gen.
Yes.
yeah.
When you beat the Johto League, and then you were allowed to go back to Kanto, and then you got the
Oh my
remixes of the
God.
original towns and stuff. It's like, oh, even as a
Oh.
kid, I was in love with that stuff.
I'm
It's
getting
so
chills
good.
just remembering it.
Like the Johto ones, there was like this air of like danger, like it was a calm danger where it's like the strength of these things, so it's like duh, like a calmness. And then the champion theme is like, I'm up against this tall thing that I can't overcome. Then you get to Kanto and it's just like a bunch of guns after you. It's like da 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 da, and it's like, oh shit, you're like,
Yeah,
you're not prepared.
Like you go in there and you're like, oh wow, I remember this as a kid. Like I get to walk in here and I'm high level, so I'll probably just like have an easy battle. And like, nope, they're pretty right on your level, so you better step up.
It's like, I think Missy's the one that said it. Are you prepared, Johto boy?
Oh
And you're
man,
just like,
that's
Mm.
my answer, because I remember that even way back as a kid, where it's like, oh, I get to go back to those. It's like, oh, it's just like old times and everything. And like when you hear the remixes of the old town music, because it was able to utilize more sounds, it was like, oh wow, that's so good.
That's
One
the
of
thing,
them
though,
had
they
like,
weren't. It was the same. It was the same amount of tracks. They were just able to make the sound effects not on the same track anymore, I think is what it was. They were still limited to 3 channels.
it was something like that. Yeah, I remember hearing something or reading something somewhere that like, yeah, they basically had to redo them, but they redid them well.
Yeah, like, oh
Where
my
it's
God.
like, it's just like you remember, but in a new twist.
I know we're going to eventually get to the topic of your favorite video game soundtracks, but the second generation of Pokemon is hands down my favorite. The original 8-bit,
Mhm.
number 1. Nothing tops it.
That would be the closest to me being like a Gen 1er, as they call it, but it's second gen for me, because I guess because that was the one that I really kind of like dug into, like how everybody dug into the first one.
As far as Pokemon goes,
Go ahead.
yeah, as far as Pokemon goes, like I do understand the nostalgia for like Gen 2 as well, and I'm definitely up there with it. Though I will say I also get really nostalgic for like the Gen 4 and Gen 5 soundtracks.
Those were good though.
Yes,
I
they were
couldn't
very,
get
very
into
good.
those.
That's when they started really playing with sound.
Yeah, like, but it was at a time in my life where, like, I think I was just getting into high school, so I was like getting to that point where you're quote unquote too old for Pokemon, so you like ignore it. But we all know that line is completely bullshit. You're never too old for Pokemon.
Apparently so.
It's like that one awkward zombie comic from like ages ago, like grade school, Pokemon, high school. Are you seriously playing Pokemon? College, Pokemon.
Age 32. Yes, Pokemon.
Yeah. It's to the point where they had like It's to the point where they had like a symphonic concert for just Pokemon. I remember I didn't get to go, but my friend
I didn't either.
And they had video of it, and it was literally just them playing stuff from like the Animu and
my God,
oh
the
man,
anime soundtrack is so good. Holy
like
crap.
I remember it's like, oh man, I really should have gone to that, because I probably would have cried back then.
Remember that one part of the original anime when Blaine pulls out Magmar?
That's why, like, they were playing stuff like that. I was like, wow, I wouldn't have expected that out of this concert. Or what the hell? Man, I should have gone. It's like, man, I should have gone.
I truly think that Pokemon, while it will still be a mega popular franchise, the music carried it.
The music really did
carry
it, though.
100%.
Like, it could have been just like a standard like collectathon of monsters. Granted, it still would eventually become the Titan it is, but the music certainly helped.
Oh, it really did.
And you still have kids today getting traumatized to the Lavender Town theme soundtrack.
I guess it's better than having fucking seizures.
Oh, right, with the Porygon episode.
I love the fact that it wasn't even the Porygon that made the people have seizures. It was Pikachu. Yeah, because Pikachu. when they do the electric attack, it flashes because the electricity. That apparently was the part that was giving people seizures.
Yeah, I think it was electrocuting Porygon, and it was flashing the red and blues from Porygon, which
it was something like that, but it wasn't actually Porygon that was actually causing that.
It was just a victim of circumstance.
Sometimes it'd be like that, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I remember that symphonic concert for Pokemon of all things rolling through Chicago. And again, like, I didn't get to go, but my friend did. And I just remember seeing like their recordings and stuff. It's like, oh man, I should have gone. They had some real good ones in there.
Oh, because like
that's why I'm like, this is before I really started like kind of seeking stuff out like that. Because, and I'm doing cards on the table for me. I'm trying as hard as I can not to reference Final Fantasy, because I know that that's a thing I default to a lot. And I'm gonna break my line. I'm gonna break my line because one of the things I go to every chance I can is the Final Fantasy concerts that come through. I actually just went to one recently, and
I feel like Final Fantasy though, that's such damn near orchestral in the first place.
Yeah, but that's
so it's like nothing but a benefit.
Yeah, so it fits really well into that. And again, like, I didn't want to just say like, oh, Final Fantasy, whatever. That makes that, like, that soundtrack make that game good because that game good already. Blah blah. Like, I was trying to think of an actual good answer.
I'd argue Final Fantasy is a good one though, because everyone remembers.
Well, yeah,
Sephiroth's
but then
theme, One Winged Angel, and like Seven's theme.
Yeah, but but again, that's one that everybody remembers and everyone knows, and it's a really big franchise and blah blah blah. I was trying to think of
then we went with Pokemon.
Yeah, but when you think of Pokemon, the music isn't the first thing you think of. It's the game, the actual game of it.
Usually the music's a second. That's what a lot of people say. Like, the games, no matter what people's opinions are of the game, everyone agrees that the music's always good.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm trying not to just ramble about that forever because I know I can.
Yeah.
Because again, like, if you want it to go back to some of the original points, I can think of soundtracks for specific Final Fantasy games and just kind of summon them to my mind whenever I want. Or again, like, I'll go to the concerts when they roll around here. Or oh man, I'm just trying to think, because I go to those because those show up here more or less kind of biannually, like every couple of years they come around again, so I get to see those. But it's sad though, because a lot of the other like concerts for that kind of stuff doesn't really come around anymore. I remember going to one, I think it was Video Games Live. That was a lot of fun. I don't think they do that anymore.
That's a shame.
I know this isn't video games, but I think the Dragon Ball one came like last year to America. Kind of regret not going, because at the time I was like a Bruce Faulkner stan. I was like, no, Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball because of the Bruce Faulkner soundtrack. But after watching Dragon Ball Super subbed, no, Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball because it's Dragon Ball.
I don't care that he ripped off all those soundtracks. It's like that wasn't Bruce Faulkner.
Oh well, whatever.
What was it? Is it one of the composers for it?
Yeah, it was
plagiarizing.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
you're thinking of the
Kenji,
Dragon Ball
Kenji
Budokai.
Yamamoto for
Yeah.
DBZ Budokai 1, and it technically carried over to 2, where 3 of the songs that he quote-unquote composed for the game
We're just blatant riff-offs.
blatant
Like,
rip-offs of like a random, I forget what Japanese band it was. I just remember that at the time they were huge.
no, they were straight rips of American songs. I think fucking even Team 4-Star covered that in a little bit, where they literally like side by side them, and it's like, oh my god, that is straight rip.
It's ironic that
believe-
same composer would go on to be at least one of the composers for the Metroid Prime Trilogy soundtracks.
God
Oh,
damn.
so it is the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Wait,
wonder where the
Budokai came
ripoff's
after,
there.
I think.
I wonder where the
I think
ripoff is there.
I think
Who knows?
Budokai came after, though.
Maybe.
Because
But man,
Metroid was like a damn near launch title.
Metroid Prime 1 was like 2001, I think.
Which isn't that when the GameCube came out? 2001 or was that 2000?
That was 2000, I think. Or
I don't know. I don't know what it
could have been a
is.
one.
I don't know what it
Oh.
is with video game composers over there that they try to like sneak in some obviously plagiarized songs. Because wasn't what? Oh no, I'm thinking of the Resident Evil guy who was basically fake being deaf.
No, I think that was Kenji Yamamoto.
Yeah, that's
he did
it.
he did that. He wanted to be the next Beethoven, so he pretended he was deaf.
Wow. I
Yeah,
did
And
not
then
like,
know
someone
this.
called his name and he turned around saying, "Yeah, what do you need?"
Basically, yeah, like that's how he got exposed, is that like they did something to the point where he would have basically no choice but to respond. Or it was some kind of story like that where like they exposed him because like they thought he was faking.
Which is unfortunate.
man.
Because the Dragon Ball Budokai soundtrack is also a really good one.
It is
Yeah.
really good, but because it's ripping off actual music.
Yeah.
Like I think like Team 4-Star literally side by side them, and it's like, oh my god, it really is just that. Speaking of plagiarized, what was it? I forget what fucking composer it was. I don't know if it was Harry Gregson Williams or if it was one of the Japanese composers, but Mel Gear Solid had that problem too. Like their main theme, the one you hear in 2, like the credit music and all that, their main theme apparently was plagiarized. I remember watching a video somewhere that, again, they side by side it. It's like, oh my god, that is literally it. It's like, oh man, that sucks because I really like that song. It's like, damn, I really liked Metal Gear Solid.
And I'd also say that Metal Gear Solid is another game that truly benefited from the soundtrack, I think.
I would say so too, because that one I remember a lot. I remember a lot of 2. 2 was when
Yeah,
2 was high school years. 2 was high school years for me. So like the whole twist and the whole like weird thing where it's like you're basically doing Metal Gear 1 again and blah blah, like all that was blowing my mind, and the music was so weird and trippy and like, what the hell is this? Like I can still remember bits of Metal Gear Solid 2 too. Oh man.
Wait,
Really?
is that theme being like used so much despite the fact that it's potentially a ripoff? And I did just look it up. They did replace it for Metal Gear Solid 4, but I'm thinking, like,
Yeah.
is that the reason that like you can't find Metal Gear Solid 2 or 3 on like any other like storefront anymore? Is that the reason?
That might be. I know it was with the actual main theme. That, because again, I remember hearing the side by side comparison. Is like, oh yeah, that really is it. But the rest of it, I don't believe was plagiarized at all, because a lot of it was also by Harry Gregson Williams, an actual movie composer and all that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
He was like a Hollywood composer that he brought in. Because I know three is completely original, but I believe again, like it's a copyright issue with that, which is why you can't find it in other places. It could be the fact because he's like an actual Hollywood composer and they got to follow all that and all that stuff. But 3 is great. I love 3's soundtrack because you could tell. And again, I'm trying to pull memory. Is that like Harry Gregson Williams said something to the tune of, "I don't want to do this again unless I get to make something wild, like, I don't know, we're in the jungle or something. And it's like Kojima was like, all right, bet. We're in the jungle. We're in the jungle now. Go nuts.
You know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby.
Yeah, like, oh, well, it just so happens the game's going to take place in the jungle. So, whoops.
Oh.
Yeah, welcome to the jungle.
But it's
Hey,
in Russia.
That's another Guitar Hero callback.
The Russian jungle.
Yeah, the Russian jungle.
The ancient Russian jungles.
Yeah. That's why I was like, but it's in Russia, though. Well, it's in the jungle. In Russia. I was like, oh, man. That's how you can tell. That's why 3 is so good, because you could tell that man did it because he wanted to make it, not because he was, not because it was his job. And you can always hear that in anything, when somebody wants to make music versus when they have to make music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even in game soundtracks, because you could tell in a lot of like early works, even in game soundtracks, where it's like it was all the love and effort and everything pouring into it. A good one I would point to that's actually a more modern example, Shovel Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You could tell that one had all of the love and effort poured into it.
Yeah, even too, like the main composer for the series did a lot of the music, and then they even got the Mega Man composer to make 2 of the songs.
Oh.
Or like Toby Fox with like Undertale. That one you could tell he was pouring all his energy into it, because a lot of it was,
and then Toby Fox did a
old
song
material.
for Pokemon too, and it turned out to also be a rip of something he did in the past.
That was the part. That was the thing, though. A lot of people started noticing that, like, that he basically did it before. Even the meme song itself, Megalovania, was already something that he had done before, and just like upped it for Undertale.
I thought it was just something that like he sampled or he ripped from the original soundtrack for Live Alive.
No, I think it was. I thought it was like Earthbound or something.
It was an Earthbound ROM hack that he himself was working on.
Yeah.
It was there.
And then he
Back
got
in
the
the
C and
forum
D,
days.
but he didn't want to like scrap everything, so he just transformed it into its own game.
Yeah, look at him now, making music for Pokemon, of all things.
Making music for basically everybody.
And getting to meet Mr. Sakurai in person and play some Smash, like,
and beat
living the
him.
dream. Well, Sakurai was going easy on him.
Maybe.
Sephiroth wasn't in the game at the time.
That's true.
Sakurai didn't have his main.
He didn't have his OC Kirby.
He was sandbagging.
To go on, just to not go on a tangent really quick, I still laugh at the fact that because it's Sakurai, that Kirby is the first one who like lives in the plot of that game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Of course, of course he would have his fucking OC be the only character that survives this fucking world-ending shit. Like,
Granted,
of course.
it works.
That's why, like, of course.
I think he said something to the effect of like he rolled the dice and it just so happened to be Kirby, and he's like, okay.
Nah, I like to think that it was like, it's my game, it's my character. Fuck you.
Well, same thing can be said for DD and Meta Knight.
Yeah, but you don't end up actually getting them until like late game, ironically.
Yeah, but Meta Knight ain't the one on the covers, baby.
My favorite part was when you're about to fight Darkon and that dude, and you're about to lose, and then King Dedede comes out of nowhere and throws a Waddle Dee and saves everybody.
Oh, damn, you're right.
I still love, and I still watch it like again and again on occasion. Something about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World of Light by Terminal Montage.
That's man, not even to get into like channels, like YouTube channels, or just creative people who just do stuff for soundtracks, because man, there's a plethora of people like that. We could just rattle off tons of people.
Just say Granddad.
No, you want to know? No, I could just say OC Remix.
Yeah, I was gonna that one too.
Fucking man.
Yeah,
the fact that spun off from a fucking webcomic of all things into this giant basically database of music.
Yeah, Silva Gunner and OC Remakes have really done a lot for like the entire
Yeah.
community just
The-
surrounding video game soundtracks.
Right? And was it Brawl OSTs or whatever?
Brawl
That YouTube channel?
BRSTMs.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Long live.
Long live the king. Goddamn,
Too soon.
too soon. And even
Man,
now,
man.
too, one thing that I've been getting into a lot over the past couple of years is seeing all of these like metal artists. They end up doing like metal covers of video game songs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
These are so good.
My favorite ones are the metal covers of metal songs.
Oh yeah, like Family Jewels, God Metal, Toxic Eternity, Rashadi B, Little V, like all of these like extremely talented people.
I always, when I think of those kind of things, I always think of what's his name, Carbohydrate DM.
Yes.
And like, yeah, like I guess that's dating myself there a little, because like, man,
Polka Remix Studio. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yes.
Man,
Man,
did I
we
hit
could-
a nostalgia button or what?
we could just rattle off again. We could just rattle off OCR people, or like that
Right.
kind of scene, and spend the whole episode doing that, because that whole thing is an ecosystem in itself.
Yeah.
Like just remixing music like that, because some of those are just
Man, that just
wonderful.
goes to show.
Yeah, those, yeah, like that's an actual show.
And people say like video games aren't art, but then you look at all the video game music and what it spawned, and you just have to turn your head and go, "What?"
Like that is definitely art.
Man, the one I still remember to this day is the remix for The Moon from DuckTales.
Yes.
Man, because it's just that even the original music is just like, why is this going so hard for just this random ass stage in
For this
big
licensed
game?
DuckTales game.
Yeah, for this licensed game of all things. And it's like, wow, this is so good. What the hell? Oh man. But then again, I was like that for Mega Man. It's like, I hate Mega Man as a kid because I could never beat it well. And I was like, why is the music so good? I can't even enjoy it because I keep dying. Oh man.
I got a question for you guys.
Shoot.
What is your favorite vocal track in a video game?
Vocal
track in a
Yeah.
video game.
And the first answer doesn't count, so you can't say City Escape.
God damn it.
I was like, yeah, a Sonic mode would be too easy.
Okay, let's make this a little easier. You can't say any of the vocal tracks from Sonic Adventure. You can't say Infinite's theme because that was the only good thing about Sonic Forces. And you can't
Damn.
you can't say anything from Metal Gear Revengeance.
God damn it.
Oh.
I'm gonna make you think.
Okay, I think I've got one. I don't know if it's my favorite, but the credits theme from Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's like a slightly alternative rockish reorchestration of one of the songs from the game Hollow Skies, but they got an actual singer to like sing over it. I think it's called Hollow by Yosh P.
Oh, Yosh P. I know the name, but I don't know what they've done. It sounds familiar.
I only know that song just because it was in the credits for 7 Remake. I mean,
I remember that too.
Chris, you missed one
Yoshi
Sonic
P,
song, and it was a recent one. Vandalized by One OK Rock.
I'm thinking about it, and I feel like anime style opening songs like that. I don't know if that should count either, because it's like it's the opening credits.
Fair enough.
That's not part of the game. So I'm because otherwise I would say Kingdom Hearts.
I was just about to say that.
I was gonna say
Sanctuary
that was gonna be
from
my
Kingdom Hearts
answer.
2.
Sanctuary was the one I was thinking of.
Nah,
But,
Simple and Clean, man. And
unpopular opinion, even though I like Simple and Clean, I honestly think Sanctuary is a better song. As much as I like Simple and Clean, I think Sanctuary is better. That's my unpopular opinion.
I like
this
the
could
ending
just
version better than the opening of Sanctuary.
I do too, honestly. I don't like the OP one, even though like that's the song.
Yeah.
It's just a remix, which is funny.
Kingdom Hearts was going to be mine, but I can come up with a second one.
I'm trying to think.
Weight of the World from Nier.
I was just thinking about Nier, actually.
I haven't played Nier. See, this is the other thing. My video game palette is so limited to like Nintendo, Sega, and some JRPGs.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Was it going to be fucking the Falcom games?
I mean, I will say Cold Steel 4 song.
I was going to say Cold Steel.
Technically,
because we can't get away from that. We can never get away from that. We never will.
I've been listening to the Forest soundtrack this whole time.
Oh my god, you!
I won't say what.
And people call me a weeb. Jesus.
Hey, you know what?
I mean, I've been listening to a Xenoblade song in the background this whole time.
I've been holding back, like, because I will say Cold Steel's soundtrack, Falcom's soundtrack is just freaking good. But I will say, Cold Steel 4's opening might be one of my favorite vocal tracks because it is technically used outside of the opening.
God, look at you already bending the rules again. Fucking
not intentionally.
Bending the rules of your own question.
I'm still trying to think of vocal tracks too. What counts as a vocal track? Does God Shattering Star from Fire Emblem Three Houses count?
I'd say it does.
I guess, but that's a pretty good one.
I would argue, like, if there's a language in the background, regardless of whether or not you can understand it, or if it's like completely made up, then like, yeah, that would probably count. Because I think the 100% definitive answer I would give is kind of going off of the same vein as Weight of the World from Nier Automata, but mine would be like Song of the Ancients from the original Nier.
Ooh. That's a good one.
Specifically the Devil version, because I like the acoustic guitar in the background.
Man, I gotta play Nier again.
I gotta jump back on because I picked up the PS4 remake like a year ago, and I still haven't made it to the time skip yet.
Oh man, you haven't even gotten to the good part.
I've played the original one before and gotten every ending.
Oh, Man, I've been a fan since fucking Drakengard, so.
Damn.
Yeah,
you
are
dedicated.
I got hurt early.
That niche, really.
I got hurt early, man.
I can only imagine.
Man,
I'm still trying to think of vocal tracks.
Well, we're trying to stall for you here, man. You got to think of one.
Oh, if I wanted to pick another one from Nier Automata,
I can't even remember half the games I played.
Blissful Death from Automata. That's a really good one.
That is a good one.
Very haunting melody.
Played Nier Automata already.
I will.
Yeah, like, dude, it just came out on Switch.
This is a PSA for everyone. Just play it.
This is the real topic of the podcast.
We fooled you.
Oh, you can't make me do it.
Or if you belong to the PC Master Race, those games are on PC too. If you want to do that.
45 minutes in, and we fool you with the PSA. Gotcha, bitch.
Damn it. Damn.
But yeah, I played Nier Automata, man. That's a good example of like the music carry in that game.
Oh yeah. Oh
definitely.
god, yeah.
But a good cop-out answer for that would be any of the GTA games, because some of those have some real banger soundtracks in them, because they just pick the best of that era they take place in.
Mm-hmm.
I still play a bunch of songs from San Andreas, because man, I guess I just have the nostalgia for the 90s, and it's just like, oh man.
Now, are these licensed songs or songs made specifically for?
No, it's the Guitar Hero thing where it's just licensed music for like the radio.
There is a nostalgia feel to it,
I feel like at that point you could qualify like all of the licensed shit for Cyberpunk 2077 under the same moniker as Grand Theft Auto.
That's true.
And Saints Row.
Stuff that's made specifically for that.
Saints Row is Saints Row, or well, a lot of open world games really.
Yeah.
Some of them had some ones where it's like, what the hell is this? I
remember
remember
Lollipop
Chainsaw.
There's a niche title.
Although going back to Cyberpunk's like incidental music, like its actual OST, is pretty good on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I remember now.
Completely agree. What
I
is
know.
it?
Persona.
Oh, we haven't even touched that.
Vocal tracks. Persona.
We haven't even touched that series.
Yeah, we haven't even like pulled out our knives and guns trying to figure out which song's better, Last Surprise or Takeover.
I am going to be the devil's opinion on this one and say that while the battle themes for like Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5, so like Mass Destruction and the FES and P3 portable versions, Reach Out to the Truth, Time to Make History, Last Surprise, Takeover, I'm going to be the one to say, while those songs are good by themselves, I do not think work as battle music.
I mean, I heavily disagree. I think they work fantastic.
I would say 5 is where it really comes together.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
that game really melds into the whole like aesthetic and theming and music, and that's where it all kind of synchronizes. 4 feels like a proof of concept of that, because as much as I like that game, it's rough going back to it from 4 or from 5, because
the battle tracks are awful.
No, not the battle tracks. For me, it's the menu. The music is what carries me, because like, yeah, I still remember these are good, but it's like, oh man, I gotta navigate all these menus and like, at least the music's all right.
Like the thing
basic battle themes are awful, but everything else about 4 is so good.
The basic battle themes of like 3, 4, and 5, I don't think they like work as battle themes, although they're good songs. But the songs that play against like mini bosses, like late game bosses, final bosses, those are just god tier.
Yes.
Across like all 3 games.
I'll Face Myself, Masters of Shadow, Rivers in the Desert.
Rivers in the Desert.
I can't say it because it's a spoiler.
But just Rivers in the Desert, man. Like,
yeah.
That's like that one I prefer to Last Surprise.
What's the theme for when you're infiltrating the last time? What's that song called? I can't think of it.
Shit, you're right. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the song, but I can't remember the name of the title.
Was it Wake Up, Get Up, Get Out There?
Yeah, I think that's the title theme.
But because it's the leitmotif. It's the song they reference all the time in the game.
But it's called something else though.
Hang on, I pulled up my Spotify. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Life Will Change.
Life Will Change.
That's another good one.
That's the one.
Put that song on.
Oh man.
Comment, and subscribe, guys, and we'll put in the entire list of the music we were listening to this whole podcast.
Yeah, links to everything in the description. Yeah. Hopefully, our host will be gracious enough to put it there.
Yeah, host.
If I remember.
No, you're not the host. He is.
Oh, that's right.
He took over the podcast. See, we played you.
It's my podcast, but that doesn't mean I host it. Just because I own the restaurant doesn't mean I have to host it.
Damn, he got us again.
Yeah, at this point I feel like your landlord.
That's it. I'm the landlord. Yeah. I just own the space. You only get to pay me to be in it.
You know what's funny? It's your podcast and your topic, but I'm the one who's coming up with the questions.
Well, because the obvious question would be next to be like, what's your favorite, really? Because we could dance around this stuff all we want, just rattle off all the ones we like. But what's the one I would phrase it in this way. What's the one that will absolutely live with you forever?
Like, there's a few like that.
I want to save that as the final question though. Because that's like a full-on other thing. But here's a question for you. What's your favorite final boss theme?
Ooh.
Or top like 5, if you can't think of one.
I'm trying to think of a good final boss.
I'll start Through the Fire and Flames.
What the hell?
Again with the cheating.
Just kidding. That wasn't it. Devil Went Down to Georgia. The actual answer for that.
Oh, what the hell?
Ooh, that's a good
Through
one
and Fire
too.
and the Flames wasn't actually the. I mean, the Devil Went Down to Georgia. Not to get too off topic with Guitar Hero again, but that was actually a really good idea for the final boss of Guitar Hero. Was Devil Went Down to Georgia.
That was good though.
I do agree with that. As a Georgia native, I was like thrown off when like the Devil Went Down to Georgia started playing in Guitar Hero 3, and I'm like, oh my god, like, they did a metal remix of it?
Like that damn bastard's coming again. Oh, he's gonna clock up I-88 all over again.
Oh no.
My commute is ruined.
I got one. Bloodborne.
Oh wait, Gehrman or Moon Presence?
Ooh, I didn't even think about that because I was thinking the Presence. But I didn't even think. Oh, girl, it was a good one too.
They're both really good.
They're both really good. But I would the one I was thinking of is Moon Presence.
Yeah.
Because that one really brings out the whole like despair at everything, where it really just it feels like a final boss.
If you want to get really technical, you could also say like Orphan of Kos or something like that as like the final boss of the DLC.
Like the reason I think of it is because I know even not to go off on a whole tangent here, but there's that one Hololive animation of Myth where like Ina is going nuts and attacking everybody. Somebody put that music to that animation and it just fits so well.
Oh, I think I saw that recently.
The one I've seen is with the Armored Titans theme from Attack on Titan.
That's a good one too.
Oh, works so well.
That's why it's like, so that's the one I think of because like that really does draw out the whole like theme of that game where it's just like you're just staring at this madness and just kind of in despair at it all. And it's like, man, it really does tie it all together.
Oh, that's not what I want.
I found a list on my phone that I made a while ago of like all of my favorite like different types of like themes from games, whether it's like battle theme, boss theme, mini boss theme, final boss, like overworld, like tavern.
Man, you came prepared.
Yeah.
Right?
I made this like months ago. But if
give us the final boss themes.
Okay, I'll do a top 10 for that from like 10 to 1.
Just rattle it off, man.
Yeah. Zanza the Divine from Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Ooh.
That's a really good one.
That is
that's another vocal track too, because there's like Latin chanting in it.
I guess that counts, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you could say what's his name's theme from Twilight Princess too.
Oh, yeah, Beast Ganon from Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Actually,
which I will say is probably the best part of that entire soundtrack. Oh no, the Twilight Ganon is probably the best part about that soundtrack.
Yeah. The battle against Ganon from Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Very atmospheric.
The Midnight Carnival from Guilty Gear X2.
Ooh.
God Shattering Star from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah. Just say every single final boss theme from Three Houses and that entire thing.
I do not like Apex of the World compared to God Shattering Star.
What about Funeral of Flowers?
Oh, that's really good too. Yeah, although I wouldn't put it above God Shattering Star at least.
No. Completely different was it motif or feel? I don't know.
Yeah. Crimson Dragon from Mega Man Star Force 3.
Okay.
Ooh. I haven't played that, but I can feel it.
The final battle against N from Pokemon Black and White 1.
Okay. That's a good one.
I'd say Getsus is better.
I prefer N's for like whatever reason.
I like N's theme.
Granted, I'm an anti-N stan. I just don't care for N at all.
That's
well, there you go.
Boo hiss.
Soul Ablaze from Mega Man ZX Advent.
I'm starting to think you have a favorite.
Yeah, so I haven't even played ZX, but I know that song.
Falling Down from Mega Man 04. Yes.
Yes, there's an orchestral remix of that.
I've heard it. It's so good. A Single Bloom in an Eternity from Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which is the theme song that plays against Shara Ishvalda.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the second one.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah, so that's number 2. Number 1 for me is Twilight of the Gods from Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia.
I forgot about that song until just now. Holy shit, that song's so good.
That is really good. I forgot it too. Man, I hate to bring back Pokemon, but mine is when you fight Cynthia.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had that at 16th apparently.
I would say Cynthia, but the original 8-bit version of Lance/Red.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's a
so
good one.
Good.
That is good too. But I like Cynthia because that's when the franchise really has like the sounds to accompany the fact that like you're fighting something hard, man. And it's also just because Cynthia in that game is just like hard. when you really just start to discover that like, oh shit, you can really like optimize this game, huh?
Oh shit, Garchomp.
Yeah, like Garchomp. It's like, oh wow.
That song gave me its like remix in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I got some form of PTSD listening back to that simply because like you can breeze through that game because the EXP share is permanent and
then this comes out.
Yeah, and then like once you get to the Elite Four, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm level 60. I think I can like breeze my way through this. It turns out like when you thought you were breezing through the game the whole time, the Elite Four is at your level.
The Elite Four was harder than Cynthia for me.
They act like the Elite Four and Brilliant Diamond kicked my ass twice.
Yeah.
And both times I lost to Cynthia's Garchomp.
But I also did kind of quote unquote cheat because you did give me a Totodile, so I just used Totodile as my starter.
That is true. You did do that.
Oh, so y'all were in on the scam. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, still hard, but for alligators,
I did all that solo, man.
I mean, I did my stuff solo too. Like I didn't give Chris the Totodile until like after
you guys just admitted to the con, and now you're trying to be all like,
no, it's not a con. I literally switched starters. My starter was technically Totodile. I didn't go past like the first route until I was able to trade.
It's true, he didn't.
I mean, that's hey. Mine was to always try to start with a Ralts, so I could get the Gardevoir.
All right, Wally. Which
that's why
his theme. Speaking of music, his theme's really good too.
Yeah, but I am a sucker for Lance and Red, especially because again, like the nostalgia of like walking up to Red, especially, and it's like hum da dum da dum. Oh, what's this? Oh, and then he whips out Pikachu, and it's like level 90 or some shit. And it's like, what the hell is
81.
that?
I think it was level 81.
Even in Heart Gold, because I think they up it in those.
In Heart Gold, it was different, but the original it was either 81 or 83.
It was something like that, but even still, it's like, because you go into the championship with like maybe level 60, maybe if you were grinding.
Yeah, and then they were so high level that the HP bar was going down, so it was tense.
Yeah, and they were like just
Snorlax.
Oh, Snorlax.
Oh man. Oh man.
Lance is probably number one for me. Every single Fire Emblem game has had like a killer final boss theme, except for maybe Awakening, because I don't remember it.
Awakenings I thought was
not that good.
I like it. It's ID Hope, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, like that.
id Hope. That's what it's called.
It's not the best song of that thing because "Don't Speak Her Name" is probably one of the best Fire Emblem songs ever written. Don't Speak Her Name is the best song of Awakening, bar none.
I'm with you there. Don't Speak Her Name. Yeah,
hands down. But another one, and I hate this because it's such an easy answer. Hopes and Dreams from Undertale, when you're fighting as your dreamer.
I never played Undertale, so I wouldn't know.
I haven't either.
Isn't Megalovania technically a final boss?
Yeah, no, it technically is, but Hopes and Dreams is the one when you're doing Pacifist.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, isn't there another one after Sans in the genocide route?
No, that's technically the final. Well,
I thought you fight someone else too.
I mean, no, not really. Like
Okay.
Sans is the end of that because there's more plot, but there's no like combat.
Okay, I've never played Undertale. Boo hiss.
You should play it. I mean, don't let the fan base scare you away. It's a good game.
I think that's the entire reason why I've been scared away, because the fan base is so rabid. But you know what?
Yeah.
One of these days I'll give it a shot.
I just remembered
really
another vocal theme. End of All from Fire Emblem Fates.
Yes.
I will, and then the DLC one where it's Shigure singing, another good one.
Oh yeah,
Fire Emblem Fates. For all the flack it gets, its final boss theme I'd put up there with like some of the greats.
Of the three different 3DS Fire Emblem games, Fates has my favorite soundtrack by far.
Oh yeah, definitely. A Dark Fall, so good.
The one I hate because it's well, I don't hate it, but it's just the fact that I'm bringing this up now because I barely just remembered it. Is King K. Rool from Donkey Kong Country. Because like you get the jolly pirate kind of theme, like
and then
when you're fighting him, like what? Okay, wow.
The Brawl remix of that is still one of my favorite songs in the entire soundtrack to this day.
I like that it took us like an hour before we started pantomiming music.
Right? that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's why I thought we were gonna get all into like pantomiming and singing and shit. Like, no, we were pretty good about that.
I was gonna start the podcast doing Megalovania.
I mean, didn't one of you start like doing the Super Mario Brothers theme song like 15 minutes in?
That's true.
Well, I was doing that as an example for how memorable it was, because everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
Opening a little schlick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Another good final boss theme, the Shadow Queen from Paper Mario.
We'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Paper Mario Thousand Year Door soundtrack, top 5 for me.
Just
Paper Mario soundtracks in general. Like the second Bowser battle in the final battle.
Ooh yeah.
Shadow Queen, like phase 1. I'm not the biggest fan of phase 2.
My boy Rockhawk. Everyone remember Rockhawk? Oh
yeah.
So Macho Grubba. Oh.
Rockhawk and Macho Grubba had the best songs in
that game. Like
in Thousand Year Door, bar none.
Thousand Year Door, I would say, is like one of the most damn near perfect quintessential RPGs you could ever play.
Yeah,
it really. I wouldn't go that far, but it is really good.
Yes,
it's such a tight game. Like it is like
that game really has
like, make a meme out of. It is one of the best games to ever be a game.
No, I like that game because it has like basically zero fat to it. Like you could just get right into it.
There's no fluff. Like the worst part is probably chapter 2.
Even still.
But then you go to the Glitz Pit and everything's like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, like Glitz Pit is arguably from that point on, it just like escalates, because otherwise when you're in like Boggle Woods, I think it's called, like it's definitely at a slower pace, but I think it's more trying to ease you into it and make sure like, oh yeah, here's all of these like things that you have to like really start learning how to do. And of course the music in those things it still works. It's still great.
Yeah.
And then chapter 3 is really when things start kicking into overdrive.
Play Thousand Year Door.
This is not an announcement. This is a threat.
Yeah, like this is a public service announcement and a threat.
Damn it, Nintendo ported already.
Well, I will also recommend on its soundtrack alone, and also on the surprisingly good quality of its gameplay, Origami King, Paper Mario the Origami King. It turned out to be a lot better than I expected. Plus, the soundtrack stands, I would argue, equal with Thousand Year Door. It's so good.
That's bold. That's bold.
It is very bold. That's why I'm saying it.
I don't know. I haven't really played it. I saw it and it looked all right. It's just,
It's one of those things where you feel like you haven't played this franchise in so long that you don't want to go back because you're afraid.
I wouldn't say that. It's just that like it just didn't really catch my interest. I think it's because Thousand Year Door was up there with like this is embarrassing to say, Tales of Symphonia, where I just kind of got it on a whim and ended up loving it.
I mean, Tales of Symphonia is another good one in terms of like music, gameplay, everything.
I guess. I don't remember much of the music from it.
I feel like that's a criticism for the Tales franchise in general. Like, you don't remember it.
The one I remember more, if anything, and this could just be nostalgia because I played this a bunch, was Star Ocean.
No, that's I've never heard any of the Star Ocean songs.
Exactly. I haven't either. I did play the Star Ocean 6 demo recently, though.
That's why I'm like, maybe this is just the nostalgic hipster in me talking, but I remember playing Till the End of Time a bunch, and I just remember a bunch of music from that.
Dang, that's a long time.
Oh man, when they re-released it on PS4, I could not buy that game fast enough. That and Dark Cloud 2, but that actually does have a decent soundtrack. Those are songs I honestly would play in like my car or something and just kind of vibe to. They have good background noise. I played Dark Cloud 2. It's an old game, but it holds up pretty good. Like all you kids out there, play it.
I bought Dark Cloud 2. I still haven't played it yet, but I will eventually.
Play it, man. It's good.
Will do.
Oh man.
Those in the audience, I'm putting on Mirror B's theme from Pokemon Coliseum XD Gale of Darkness.
Oh, that's another good one.
Pokemon Coliseum soundtrack, by the way, another top 10.
Yeah.
Literally all the battle songs in that game are perfect.
Like, though, the soundtracks for those two games were better than they had every right to be.
Right.
They knocked them out of the park and then some.
There's another example. The music of that game carried that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to bring this up because I think I'm the only one with any real knowledge to the series, but Toho.
Yeah,
Toho
has that, so that's on you.
Oh my god, how do we forget Toho?
How do we forget Toho? I think it's because while I know Toho and everything, I don't remember a lot of the actual music. Or
I know the remixes.
Yeah, like a lot of people know the remixes and stuff, or a lot of people can at least quote that one meme song.
I'm still trying to figure out who UN was her. We'll find out.
I was gonna say, like, I thought I was original by bringing UN Owen. Shit, you beat me to it.
But you know what? My favorite song in Toho isn't that song. It's Septet for a Dead Princess.
Wow. All right. That's a choice.
Amelia Scarlet's theme from I think 6.
That's why I like, wow, all right, that's an actual choice. I thought it was gonna be the fucking tiny little Adlium, the one meme song that everybody remembers from like a couple years ago.
No, there's that one. Sakuya's theme. I forget what that one's specifically called.
But man, just the fact that that guy basically does everything in those games, including in the music, like holy shit.
Man.
And the fact that like that thing again, like that whole thing is an ecosystem into itself because of, like you said, the remixes and everything that come out of it.
The games. Wow. I'm pretty sure Toho is quote unquote public domain in the sense that you can use the property however you want to make a game within reason, obviously. And the only thing you have to keep in mind is the quote unquote canon. Like you can't diverge from that, but otherwise you have free reign.
That's why, like, I think because he's basically just like, yeah, go nuts.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I make stuff.
Yeah,
I love seeing people make stuff about my thing. Like, this is awesome. That's my dream. I want to make like a universe like that where everyone can just like insert their own characters and have a blast with.
Man, we should all be so lucky with stuff like that.
Right?
Agreed.
Get like some fucking Weird Al kind of character into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that would be cool.
You know what else? Like Toho made me remember it, but you know what else in regards to like strange games that you wouldn't think has a good soundtrack? Arknights. Like,
Oh
Arknights,
yeah, Arknights.
the music revolving around Arknights is some of like the most varied yet ridiculously cool shit you could ever listen to.
Yeah,
Like I will
Arknights'
like
soundtrack is really good.
this is a call to action for all you listeners out there. Search for Arknights music. You'll find something you'll like.
I mean, the game is popular enough too that like Starset did a song for it.
We at the cast of Pause and Effect do not condone playing Arknights in any form or capacity. Thank you.
Gacha's Bad Civilization.
Gacha's Bad
Gacha's
Civilization.
Bad Civilization.
Destroy it.
But you said Starset made one song. They technically did trailers for the game 3 times.
That is
Three
true.
of their
they did.
songs. 3 of their songs are for trailers. It's ridiculous.
Man. Just
But I specifically recommend Immutable, Operation Pine Suit, and you'll have to come back to me because I don't remember any of them by name.
I don't know the name of the main menu theme, but that's a big one.
Oh crap! I can't think of it, but it's the Penguin Logistics theme.
Mm.
I don't know. I
Speed
think I'm
of
the only
Light.
one-
Speed of Light.
I think I'm the only one who hasn't really played Arknights. I only know of it, really.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, I
fair.
only got into it like last year, and like I've just gotten so heavily into like the music around it that it's just nuts.
I don't know.
Like,
It's just-
Like, there's a joke within the Arknights community that the entire Arknights game is just a front for their music label and clothing line.
I can believe that though. I
Like-
might not know much of the game, but I do know the kind of the merchandise around it.
Not the
Because-
merchandise, but like the characters' skins in that game, literally the word drip.
I mean, yeah. I've seen some of those. And it's like, man,
Like
I
it's
would
just
buy
pure
that.
drip. But like the entire game is just a front for their music label, which holy shit.
I think it's like Toho in the sense that like, yeah, you know Toho about the games, but man, the music that comes out of that shit, that's the thing that kind of spun off it. And I think it's
Yeah.
similar with that, where it's like, it's not really the game is just a catalyst for this thing, like you said, like the music and the clothing and the merchandise.
The game is just like a way to keep it all constrained into something. Otherwise,
It's-
you'll never be able to find it.
That's the thing that ties it all together. Because I know it's for some people it's like that with Fate too.
Oh my god, how did we not mention Fate either? I am the bone of
Exactly.
my sword.
I
Amiya's theme. That's
shouldn't
the
have
only
said
song I
anything.
know. Fate Go has really stellar track. You'd think that gacha games, like with how like low, quote unquote, low quality they can be sometimes, they got killer soundtracks, man.
Yeah, gacha game music does go harder than it has every right to.
I think it's
There's
because-
another vocal track.
Uh-oh.
Book 3's boss theme from Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
How
Oh.
could we forget?
I know that song, even though I don't play the game.
Welcome to Pause and Effect, where every other podcast is either about Fire Emblem, the Trails franchise, or something else unrelated to either two, but we'll eventually dive all back into those two anyway.
But how very specific.
Right?
Too specific.
Where the points don't matter and who gives a shit.
Everything's made up, and the final answer is Reen Schwarzer.
So you're saying I'm Drew Carey?
I don't know.
You're great groups.
I'll take. You know what? I'll take that. I'll take that.
Can I have Wayne Brady?
Sure, you can be whoever you want to be.
Yay!
I mean,
That's the affirmative action hire.
Oh, is this because I'm a minority, huh? The only
Well, you can't
minority
have
in the only minority in this podcast, and you wanted. Oh, okay, I see how it is.
Well, you can't be Aisha
I guess
because
that's
she's
true.
female. She's female.
I guess that's true.
Uh,
my God.
My lord.
I am. Crap! I lost.
I
track.
think we're just losing our minds with all this music that we're probably forgetting. Because like, oh man,
we should just end it with what is your favorite soundtracks of all time? Period. Not even specific tracks, but like full on game soundtracks entirely.
Like the full album?
Yeah, like
the
a full album.
the full thing.
Yeah, because that's kind of
Like-
what I was like leading into before.
I'll start.
Sure.
Minesweeper.
Wow.
Damn it! I was gonna have the funny joke. I was gonna
All right,
say
but-
Halo, but that's actually not a bad answer.
Halo's a good answer. Actually.
That's why I like.
Oh.
Damn, I'm surprised we haven't talked about that. Halo has some good shit, actually.
I mean, I was gonna.
I never grew up
bring
with
up
Xbox,
Halo.
so I wouldn't know.
I was gonna bring up Halo in regards to like the Western developers, where how they make it more like a cinematic, but Halos didn't do that.
I think because the only one I remember clearly was the main theme with the Gregorian chant.
Yeah,
Because my God, just that one alone carries it a lot.
I mean, I'm impartial to ODST's soundtrack because of, like the jazz
Or
and the
ODST.
bossa nova. ODST's soundtrack's so good.
Yeah. But I don't know who wants to go first in the whole soundtrack.
Well, I made a top 10 for that too.
Of course you did. What's
Well,
what's
you
the number
have
one
so
then?
yeah. Since you wrote yours down, give us your top 5 while us two can actually think about ours.
Oh, I can think of a couple already. But go ahead.
Man, me too. I'm trying to think.
So
of,
I'll
like,
go-
The,
I'll go from, like-
lesser known ones.
I'll go from like 10 to 1. Okay, so at 10th is Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
Okay.
Okay.
9th is The Messenger, the indie game.
Oh,
I've never heard of that.
All right.
It's really good. It's like one of my favorite indies. It's like old school Ninja Gaiden, but the gameplay formula is very refined. It's by the people that are currently making Sea of Stars.
Okay.
8th is Doom 2016.
Okay. I agree.
7th is Astral Chain.
All right.
Okay.
6th place is a tie between Zelda Twilight Princess and Zelda A Link Between Worlds.
Interesting. But it also leads me to believe that you've got Ocarina of Time higher up on this list.
I was gonna say.
I don't.
Oh,
Liar. You liar.
I'm not lying. Okay.
Okay.
5th is Yakuza 0.
Wow.
Yakuza
Oh,
Zero?
we didn't even talk about fucking Baka Mitai. Shit.
Go ahead.
There's
the other. Damn it. There's the.
fourth
there's-
is F-Zero GX.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact, one of the composers for F-Zero GX, Hidenori Shoji, he also helped to compose the vast majority of all the Yakuza soundtracks.
Oh, okay.
Not
I can. You know
surprised.
what? I can see it. I haven't played any of the Yakuza games, but I've heard some of the F-Zero soundtracks. It fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the combined soundtracks of Nier and Nier Automata.
Okay.
I have a cheat, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Number 2 is Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Okay.
Okay.
And number 1 is the original Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Okay.
Ooh. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see people's musical taste and nostalgic taste too, with like top 10 lists.
Yeah. Because I can tell you right now, mine is heavily nostalgia based.
I mean, I'm gonna take a shot in the dark, and your number 1 is something that rhymes with Final Fantasy.
Legend of Mana? No.
I was gonna joke and say the last story.
Legend of Monacy.
Wow.
But all right then, smartass, what's yours?
All right. In no particular order, because I'm honestly trying to remember. Shit. Actually, I'm just gonna start with my number 1, like I said earlier, Pokemon Gen 2.
Yeah.
The original. I don't think that the remakes are better.
Well, the
I think
remakes.
the added channels kind of ruined it.
I feel like the remakes stand on their own.
Yeah, they kind of stand on their own, but I am right
They're
up there with
different.
the original chiptunes.
Like I
Like
love the
chip
original
tune is so
chiptunes for
good.
Gen 2 just as much as the next person, but I will say that the remakes, some of those songs do kind of stand on their own, like the Heart Gold Soul Silver remix of Ecruteak City with all the Japanese sound fronts.
Yeah,
That's
I like
amazing.
that. I do really like that one.
Okay, that's fair. So number 1 is Red and Blue. Number 2 and 3, because I honestly can't really place it, but Phantasy Star Online episodes 1 and 2.
Oh man, we didn't even talk about that one.
Is that? And then for number 3/2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Okay.
Okay.
I can see that. That is
then,
a good soundtrack.
And then in small parentheses, Sonic 3D Blast.
I mean, it does have nice music.
I will say that Sonic 3D Blast, I think, has a better soundtrack than Sonic 3. But that's like my my hot take.
But that's the one
music.
good thing about that game.
Yeah, seriously.
Hot take on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, better than Sonic 3's music, though. That's the hot take. That's the Volcano Valley take.
Damn.
Wow.
Which, honestly, Volcano Valley, I think, is my favorite Sonic track, period. It's so good. I can't even describe it with words. Which just sounds so fucking pretentious.
Sure, you'll think of something.
So I'm still listening to music, by the way, to those in the audience. And do you want to know what song came up in my recommended?
What?
Bury the Light.
Of course,
we didn't even talk about Devil May Cry.
Another vocal track we missed.
Oh, that is a good one.
That's a good one.
You guys keeping track at home? I think we're on like 9.
Yeah, right.
But number 4.
I think we're in the double digits now.
Yeah, number 4. I'm gonna say Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door.
All right, I could, yeah.
I mean, these aren't in any particular order. I'm just honestly trying to think. Number 5 is gonna be a massive cop out, but the entire Trail series from Sky 1 to Sky 2. I haven't played 3, 0, or Azure, but the entire Cold Steel 4 quadrilogy.
Might as well just stuff the ballot then, like all of
you know
them.
what?
Just all.
You know what? Let's just say
write in the Legend of Heroes.
It's not number 5. It's number 5 because it's just every single Falcom title that I played.
number sideways 8.
Number infinity.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, me personally, even though I haven't finished it, I would add Issei Lacrimosa of Dana as an honorable mention.
Oh, Issei soundtrack is flawless.
That is really good, though. I didn't even think about that. I would put that up there.
Yeah, like Sunshine Coastline is probably one of, like, I've only been introduced to it recently, but it's probably one of my new favorite songs.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I'm a fan of what is it, Night Raid? The theme that plays when you're in the nighttime parts. Oh my god.
Play the game.
Isn't it Night Survivor?
Night Survivor, that's what it's called.
Play the game.
Where you think stealth is optional or is required, but no, it's optional. It's not even optional. It's like, don't do it. But let's see. Number 6, Toe Jam and Earl.
Well, you mentioned that one.
Yeah, I did mention that. 7. I'm gonna say Fire Emblem Fates, honestly.
Yep, can't agree.
Or Three Houses. It's tough with Fire Emblem because it's like it's not the whole soundtrack of the thing I like. It's like a chunk of their tracks, which makes it harder to like unmuddle within itself. Or I can just say the cop-out answer and say Fire Emblem Heroes because that's just a conglomerate of all of them.
I was gonna say because like, well, it's just all of them then.
Yeah, it's just a cop-out.
Yeah.
Oh, what's another one? I'm like staring. I should just like honestly go on my Spotify. I said Paper Mario. Here's one that I don't think anyone's going to expect. The SNES version of Jurassic Park.
You were talking about this the other day.
Wow. I remember that.
That game's got some really good atmospheric pieces.
Isn't that also the one with the elevator music?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one I remember.
That one's a super niche one right there.
The only Jurassic Park related like game music anything that I've actually ever heard was from one of the arcade cabinets.
Oh, I remember. I loved that game as a kid.
Yeah, like I found like a long play of it recently that just had like all the music, and that was just a trip down memory lane.
That's what I did too.
It was like that
oh,
for
well,
Jurassic
play
Park 2, though, where it's like, oh, I remember that game.
I didn't even know there was a Jurassic Park 2 for the SNES.
Wouldn't it have been called The Lost World at that point?
I don't think it was
According
related.
to this, it's called The Chaos Continues.
Chaos continues. Man, Jurassic Park was sure chaotic.
Oh yeah,
All them dinosaurs everywhere.
Oh,
Here's another one of my top 10. Metroid Prime 2.
Well, the
Good
Prime
pick,
games are
good
pretty
pick.
good.
I mean,
But I'll say that
Metroid Prime
2
2's soundtrack, in
is
my opinion, stands above the rest just for like Torvis Bog alone.
Torvis Bog, Emperor Ing's theme, both the first and second part.
Like
the
the
final
first
boss
one.
theme, Evacuation.
Oh yeah, the escape theme, which is like
Yeah.
a very cybernetic remix of the original escape theme,
Yeah.
but it works so incredibly well.
Sanctuary Fortress's theme was really good too.
Yes, Sanctuary Fortress was so good.
The multiplayer theme Hunters from Metroid Prime 2, which, fun fact, everybody in the audience who didn't know this, but Metroid Prime 2 has a multiplayer.
But yeah,
It's an ungodly broken mess of a multiplayer, but by God, is it there?
but it's in there, and you can actually make it work.
Mm-hmm.
People
It's
have
so-
cracked the code.
It's so ungodly balanced. It's hilarious.
Because wasn't it like supposed to have some form of it, but then they scrapped it?
No,
And then-
it's in there. It's 100% in there. It's
But
a
it was like-
deathmatch thing.
Really? I thought it was like
Yeah.
a scrap thing that people restored.
No. It was in the original cart for it.
Huh.
I remember my siblings and I played that all the time. It's really broken because Samus still has her lock-on feature. Don't even need to aim, but if you boost, you can boost away and break it. But that's unrelated.
Oh,
I'm
man,
trying to
I
think
don't
of
know-
like. I'm
I
just
don't
gonna say
know how-
Arknights for my other top list. That's
I don't know
gonna be
how I'm
kinda
gonna
either,
follow any of that up.
Right.
You can try.
My
Final
favorite,
Fantasy 1.
I was
Final
gonna
Fantasy
say,
2.
my favorite is Final Fantasy 1 through 10. That's my top 10. Good night, everybody. All right.
Yeah, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Okay. For real this time. For real this time. My favorite soundtracks are Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, GTA San Andreas, GTA Vice City,
Rock Band Aerosmith.
Rock Band rocks the Guitar Hero rocks the 80s.
Oh, Star Wars Republic Commando. That had a good soundtrack too.
Oh, that was a good one. Shit.
As it
Oh my
was.
God.
Shit. Oh man.
Man, I hope you people who are listening to this are taking notes for all these soundtracks you got to listen to later.
Or just play those games because some of them are still pretty good.
Yeah.
If there was a legal way to play half these, yeah.
I think you can find Republic Commando.
That one might be tough. I'm not sure. I wish it
I
got
thought-
an HD re-release.
HD, but there you go.
Yeah, well, you have
Yes.
to for these modern consoles nowadays.
Basically.
See, there's your problem.
I don't know if you can come up with 10, but I have some.
I didn't come up with 10. At this point, I'd probably name like 50.
I mean, a lot of them are going to be ones that you guys rattled off. Stuff like Doom 2016, because my God, man, that soundtrack is so that soundtrack is so 90s industrial rock. You can hear Trent Reznor in it.
It's so crazy good. Like Mick Gordon would so.
You can hear
home with
Trent
it.
Reznor in Super Mario World too.
That's true. You can.
That's true.
There's only 1 degree of separation between Super Mario and Doom.
It's like that Kevin Bacon game. It's just you try to find it try to go back to where you can find Trent Reznor and all this shit.
Right?
Truly.
Another one, Hollow Knight, actually.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
you know what?
yes.
Hollow Knight's up there with like Bloodborne, which is another one I'm gonna rattle off. I can't honestly pick the two, but they have different flavors. I like Bloodborne's because it has more of like that despair. Hollow Knight is a little more atmospheric, and I like that.
Was it Green Place or Green Path?
Green Path.
Green Path.
That Green Path. The city.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, like
Oh man.
what was that place called? The Queen City or City of Tears?
City of Tears.
Yeah.
That's the one. I was like, I know there's the city one.
Even in like some places too, where like Hollow Knight, some areas like don't have music. They have just like atmospheric effects. Like the place that still scares me to this day because of the music is Deep Nest.
Ooh.
And it's
Deep Nest was unsettling.
And it's not even music. It's just like the sound of like random like broken violins and spiders skittering around.
Man.
That's like the most unsettling part out of like all of it.
Metal Gear Solid 2 and
Okay.
3,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, I would probably pick 3, honestly, because Snake Eater alone just elevates it above 2. But I really like 2's actual like OST because it really captures the whole like tension of it all. Versus 3, it feels more like a Bond movie.
Yeah, 2 had like that one theme that played toward the end of the game where you're having that psychedelic scene. That track.
Yeah.
Really
Oh, where you encounter the sorrow?
No. 2 is the one
2,
where
not
where
3,
you
2.
where you get the twist and everything starts kind of breaking down, and like that weird like chorus, vocal, whatever that is, synth, like whatever that music's supposed to be, where it's like you're kind of watching the game fall apart at the seams.
And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, like what is happening here? A cop-out answer would be Minecraft.
I wouldn't say that's a cop-out answer. I'd say it's got a really good soundtrack.
I mean, it does, but it's one of those where like everybody knows it and loves it. But another one I could say would be Undertale, because as much as, again, like you could rag on that game and everything for everything outside of it, that soundtrack really does hold up. It's that, honestly, if there's a best thing about that game, it really is the soundtrack.
Some songs in Undertale that I've heard I actually really liked. Like Megalovania is one just because of how freaking catchy it is.
Bone Trussell.
Bone Trussell, yeah, I love that one.
That one I haven't heard. I think
was it Battle Against a Fated Hero?
No, I think. Oh, it's. I don't remember the name of the song, but it plays against Napstablook.
Oh, I know the one. I just don't know the name.
Then the core and the song that plays when you're fighting Asgore.
Saying
that's
the
a
core
good one.
You saying the core reminded me about Shadow the Hedgehog, and Shadow the Hedgehog soundtrack is really good too.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm partial to like songs from Shadow the Hedgehog, although I think the one that I love the most out of everything is everything in that soundtrack is Mad Matrix.
I'm a Lost Impact kind of guy.
Fair enough.
And All Hail Shadow.
Vocal track.
Shadow, heroes rise again.
There is something about those songs where they're just so corny. I can't help but like them.
Honestly, that Sonic needs to lean back into that shit.
I think it's just because
made it work.
I think it's because up until a certain point with those games, they were sincere, and there's just something about that. It's like The Room, where it's like part of the reason why we like how bad it is because it's entirely sincere.
Yeah,
it's got that quality to me on that, where it's like, oh, look at you trying. That's adorable. It's like I can't help but like, and then you like tussle their hair. It's like, you go on and play now.
You guys have fun.
Yeah, like you go have fun with your Shadowloo or whatever.
And then Sonic 06.
Like you
Sonic
go have fun
06.
with your oh damn. We did talk about this in the last episode, I think, Chris, right? I think we did.
We probably, who knows?
Those are probably the ones I can rattle off that don't involve Final Fantasy, because again, I'm a big Final Fantasy nerd. Surprise, surprise.
All right, Mr. Final Fantasy. Here's your tough question. Which one's the best soundtrack?
That is a tough one because like any good music man, you have the one that you like the most versus the one that you think is the best.
Trick question. It's the actual rhythm.
No, the real trick answer would have been 14. Because that's basically just that's basically just referencing all of them.
14 or Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts. I actually like Kingdom. That's actually the answer for me because Kingdom Hearts. I know it cheats a little because it has Disney music and Final Fantasy themes and stuff in it, but I do like the
original stuff's really good too.
Yeah, I do actually really like the original stuff by Yoko Shimomura. I really like her stuff.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that
really
she's
good.
Yeah, and the fact that she's in like stuff like 14 and stuff really elevates that stuff for me.
She did the soundtrack for, I believe, the Mario and Luigi series.
Yeah,
yes,
she did.
And
she
Legend
did
of Mana.
She did Mario and Luigi, Legend of Mana. She did a few songs for Xenoblade 1, Kingdom Hearts, like some Final Fantasy games.
But
like her stuff is iconic.
To list off the final couple, Final Fantasy VI, because it's honestly that's probably the best one. Like hot take or cold, whatever you want. I'll leave it to you, the viewer, to decide. But that one holds a lot of nostalgia for me. 7, obviously, because everyone's played that one and all that shit. The one that sticks to me the most is 8. That was the one. That was the one where like everybody has that one thing that they latch onto as a kid, and it's like, I want to do that, or I want to be that, I want to see this. Like Final Fantasy VIII was that for me. Like I don't want to.
Definitely my favorites of the numbered series, and I'm definitely up there with you.
That's probably that's the one that I would say that's my favorite, even though I wouldn't consider it the best because it is very corny, it is very strange, and you could tell that they only just got into like the concept of having like an actual orchestra and musical instruments outside of chiptunes. And you could kind of hear it, and but that's part of why I like it is that it has that little bit of jank to it.
Experimenting.
My favorite though, my absolute favorite, and this isn't Final Fantasy, but I guess it's adjacent, is Chrono Trigger. I adore that soundtrack to death. All of it. Every single one.
I haven't heard all of it, but I do love me some Corridors of Time.
Yeah. Frog's theme to End Times, the ending theme. Fuck, all of it, man.
That's the only one I know because I haven't really played that game.
If there's anything I'm gonna shill, it's Chrono Trigger. Fucking play that. That game had the dream team for JRPGs of the 90s. The fucking best of the best, and you could fucking tell that game is brilliant.
And keep in mind too, it is on PC.
It is on PC. You can get it anywhere. And if I recommend anything, try to go for the original, but the DS remake, which you can find through totally legal means, I'm sure, is not a bad option because I think that's the one that is on Steam.
I think a friend told me one time because I asked him like, hey, I saw Chrono Trigger is on Steam and I know you're a huge fan. Like, should I play it? And he was like, the definitive edition is absolutely the DS one. However, the Steam one, it launched in a very broken state, but they've updated it enough to the point where it really stands tall on its own.
Because the Steam version did it with the Final Fantasy ones as well, the earlier ones, the 8-bits. They did it in like a mobile version, it was like clearly the mobile version ported over to Steam, and it really doesn't do good.
Yeah,
for like trying to
now
control
they
it through.
Now, didn't they just replace all of those with the HD 2D ones?
They did, or you could buy that and then mod it. Mod it to just be this game. because a lot of people do that for the Final Fantasies, where some of the music is different, or some of the menus look different, and blah blah blah, and people mod that shit because, and it's a piddly little game from the 90s. It's really easy to kind of alter like that. So there's things like that, but I don't care how. Fucking play that game. Chrono Trigger is one of the best. I will not hear otherwise. Thank you. Good night.
Well, okay then. I suppose.
Well, the
with that
bus ain't here for
declaration,
another
that means
15
that's the
minutes.
episode.
No, I was just trying to be definitive, but that is a game that I absolutely recommend to anybody who has an inkling of love for like JRPGs, especially the 90s stuff. Like, again, that game had the dream team of everybody who was anybody from the JRPG scene. It had like Nobuo Uematsu, had Akira Toriyama doing designs and shit. Like, oh man, it had everybody.
I was gonna say, like, I even had one of the best JRPG designers ever.
Like, I know it's basically all Dragon Ball again, but god damn it, that style really looks good.
Is it the Dragon Ball style or is it the Dragon Quest style?
Yes.
Dragon Ball, because some of those characters are basically DBZ characters again, just with different names.
You know what? I don't see the similarities between Chrono and Tapion. You're making it up.
I see how I didn't mention names.
Right?
Whatever happened to Launch?
Got sent back to the past. Samurai Jack.
I know, Samurai
My
Jack
God.
style.
Man, Android 16 really let himself go.
Oh my God.
See, if that's enough of a reason that you might want to pick it up, because man, those designs still hold up. And again, the soundtrack is just 10 out of 10 for me.
Best game. 10 out of 10. Best game.
Best game.
That was me trying and failing at a JonTron impression.
Oh,
There's another game right there. JonTron.
Oh,
JonTron
boy.
the game.
Based off the movie.
What about Titanic based on the movie game?
I hear that soundtrack was pretty bopping too.
We could just start going on about fucking YouTubers.
You really can.
That might be an episode, honestly.
It very
The
well
bus
could
ain't
be.
here. The bus ain't here till about another 12 minutes.
You got 12 minutes to fill?
Yeah. Which here's a question: between the original and the remake, what games do you think had a better original soundtrack as opposed to the remake, and vice versa?
Oh, that's tough.
Ooh.
I'll start. Gen 3 of Pokemon had a better original soundtrack. Don't at me.
Honestly,
Oh, I didn't
agree
even
with
mention that.
I agree with that.
Gen 2 of Pokemon. That's probably another one where like nostalgia. It's all nostalgia for me on that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to catch hell for this, and I don't care. But I think the HD remake of HD remaster of Final Fantasy X's soundtrack is better than the original.
Nah, man. Nah, son. Get out of here. This is my podcast now. I'm taking over. Tune into the next episode of
No,
Pause and
because,
Effect
like-
where I take over.
Like, I never got a chance to play the original Final Fantasy X as a kid because I had the GameCube in my household and not a PS2. But I remember listening back to I did hear like bits and pieces of the original soundtrack, thanks in no part to playing Dissidia on PSP.
Oh man.
But I mean, like I would say like it's half and half. Some parts of the original soundtrack do better than the remastered version, and some aspects of the remastered version do better than the original versions. Like,
I mean, that's the pissy sitting on the fence answer, but yeah, I gotta agree.
Like original versions of songs that I like from 10 would be like Otherworld, Xanarkand, Battle Against Seymour, and
That's like the whole soundtrack, though.
and the original Besaid Village.
Yeah.
But then in terms of the remaster, the stuff that I like is Besaid Island when you're like exploring the place, Enemy Attack, which is the boss theme, and A Contest of Aeons.
Ooh, that is a good one. For me, it's just Final Fantasy X. That's kind of the one that I actually will pop on like Spotify, even though I don't think it's actually on Spotify, but like people have basically ripped it off. That's the kind of stuff I'll actually put on my car or whatever, where I'll just listen to, because I don't know, I guess it's just a nostalgia, and it's like it's a bright soundtrack. It's happy for the most part.
But then there's sometimes you're at a stoplight, and then that 88 Camaro shows up revving his guns, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah, and then the battle thing kicks in, and I gun it.
It's Underworld time. Dun-dun-dun.
That's when I fucking gun it in my piddly little Honda, trying to beat a fucking Camaro.
We're turning into Pittsburgh here.
Oh my god.
Yeah, rolling down the fucking 88. Why don't we? Oh god.
I think another one I'll say in terms of Final Fantasy is and this is going to be a very out there one, but bear with me. A lot of 12's music has been reused, not just, I don't know if it was ever like reorchestrated for the Zodiac Age because I haven't played it yet, but a lot of that music did actually get ported over to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on Game Boy Advance and A2 on DS.
Yeah, because technically they're supposed to share the world.
Yeah, but the surprising thing is it holds up like really well. Hearing it on like the Game Boy Advance and DS, like sound fronts.
Oh, I love it when they bring it back for 14, because there's a whole quest line that takes place in that world, and it's great hearing it with like a full orchestra and everything.
Yeah,
because again, like 12, the original, has the 10 problem of you could tell has like the 8 problem of you could tell that they just now got this kind of access to sounds, and it's like it has that little bit of jank to it, but 14, when they bring it back with the full orchestra and everything, it's like, man, it sounds way better now, because like, oh man, you can actually hear real instruments. This isn't just some synthesized stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts to think about.
But I'm a sucker for real instruments like that. Again, that's why I go to like those Final Fantasy concerts and stuff like that, because I'm a total sucker for like live music like that.
Man,
I'm starting to get more into that too. Like for example, like Zelda's Skyward Sword, not exactly a game people think fondly of, but I do love the soundtrack for that game. It was probably like I think it was actually the first time that they actually used orchestrated instruments for the soundtrack, and it worked really well.
It did. I really liked that. But again, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
I would not call that game my favorite Zelda of all time. I don't think it even registers in my top 5 for 3D Zeldas anymore. But at the same time, I would argue that the orchestrated stuff did really well, which is even crazier to think about that Twilight Princess, which is definitely one of my favorite Zeldas, all of that music sounds orchestrated, and not all of it is, but it sounds that way.
Yeah, that's what I mean, where like you can tell it's not real instruments, it's synthesized.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Final Fantasy VIII's like that, where it's trying to it uses like a live music sound, but it's very clearly somebody plinking away on a synthesized keyboard to have those string sounds and the horns and all that good stuff. It's like you can hear the artificiality in it, you know?
Yeah, kind of like Unleashed, I think, did that. I'm not sure if it was a real orchestra or not.
Really, like a lot of franchises kind of hit that point where, especially like the older ones, like when it's kind of like the early 3D era, where like everybody kind of had to adapt or die, and you could tell some people hit the ground running and some really hit it hard, some hit it head on, like. Some of the early examples of 3D are rough.
Yeah,
and you could kind of see that in some music choices in some games, where it's like you could tell that they got access to an orchestra, or they're able to move away from chip tunes, and some of it sounds pretty good, or like they pump up old songs, and some of it sounds great when it's pumped up with real sounds and instruments and stuff, but some of it doesn't. A good example I think would be like Green Hill. Green Hill sounds great as a synthesized sound, but put in live music, it just doesn't really hit.
Nope. Sonic music's really hit or miss with that stuff.
Yeah, it can be.
That's why I'm like, Sonic music has to have like that synthesized sound. I think that's part of the charm.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh man, we could just go on and on though.
And honestly, dedicate an entire thing to like, what's your favorite remix of a song? It's like, oh, I like this guy's songs.
Well, again, we could go on to just like OC remix, because again, that's a whole ecosystem in itself. We barely touched on that. We could just go on about like you said, what's our favorite remixes of these songs? Because there's tons of them out there, absolute tons.
Like that's like 90% of the Toho.
Whole channels dedicated to again, like Toho, whole channels and people just live their lives around that stuff. It's like, man.
Yeah, they really do. Granted, I think we could probably shelve that for another episode at some point in the future.
Honestly, maybe we could.
Because there is a lot to unpack there.
There is a lot.
Like, and I did mention this before, whether you're talking about like people who do remixes, people who were part of the OC remix phenomenon, and people who were part of that and then went on to do like bigger and better things. And then like all of the metal artists that you see on YouTube just like killing it with covers like every single time they post.
Or people who just talk about the actual craft of the sounds. Like there's channels out there of people who just talk about the actual music making craft of it.
Yeah, I
did talk about
I did see a video of that one time. I saw a video of that one time where it was a guy talking about the nuances of all of the dungeon themes from Zelda Ocarina of Time and like what it's inferenced by, what it references, and like does it work and how well it works in
Was it the channel you just mentioned?
Epic Music Theory? Maybe.
It could have been. I don't know.
Yeah, because that like hard shill, but that's a pretty good channel because they actually talk about the craft of music. If you're somebody who actually like composes music and stuff like that, it's a good source because it really talks about like the craft of making these songs, like a lot of which are like what makes them really great. I like the one where they talk about Baka Mitai and how it's like they're like that's why it's so memorable because it plays just so well. Like when you actually read the notes, like it just goes together so well together.
Yeah, like that, and Don't Say Her Name from Fire Emblem Awakening.
I think that's his newest one at this point in time. But yeah, check that one out too because he really talks about the fact that like the sound just kind of conveys everything in it, and that's what makes it so good.
He did one of like what makes a battle theme work with like Pokemon Gold and Silver. Going back to that one. Like he talked about like how the limited music channels work in its favor.
Yeah, but that's why like there's whole channels out there that just talk about the craft of making these songs and stuff. And it's like if you're somebody who's into that, I would check those out because you could. This isn't just like us gushing about like, oh, I like that song because it sounds nice. It's like the whole like I like that movie because it's pretty. It's like if you're somebody who's into the actual like nuts and bolts of it, there's stuff out there. Oh man. Again, we could just go on and on forever though. Like we've been going how long now? Jesus.
Probably 2 hours.
Something like that, man. We better stop before this just becomes like a live podcast.
It becomes the Bloodborne episode all over again.
No, it's just this is the Cold Steel episode all over again.
Where he had to split into two essentially.
No,
we were just like, oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Those were like two separate episodes at an hour and a half each.
But I remember even back then we were like, oh, we didn't even talk about this part. Oh, we didn't even say this.
Yeah.
Best part is we still have more of that game to go through.
Yeah, if only I could get off my ass and actually play the games, right?
There's plenty of other good games out there, so I don't blame you this one.
Yeah.
Well, Trails to Zero.
Yeah, that
from
did just
Zero.
come out too.
Yeah,
It's come out.
not to date the episode too hard, but that did just come out at this time. But yeah, because that's another one. Because that whole series is going to come out at some point.
Hey, before we die, I hope.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
definitely
maybe.
before we die.
Oh, man. Probably should just wrap it up, though, or else it's just going to be like, we're going to have to chop this whole thing up into its own episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's probably a good stopping point there. That's definitely all the time we have. Before we close out, do you guys have anything you want to plug or shout out before we finish up, other than like the things that you've already said before, which is play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, play Chrono Trigger, play Nier. Like we've already said those, I think.
Be sure to volunteer at your local food shelter. Holiday seasons are coming up. Try to help the less fortunate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Honestly, yeah. I was gonna make a whole joke, but honestly, yeah, do some good out there, man. Holidays are coming.
Yeah.
Do some
You know
good
how you
out
feel
there.
good when you listen to music? Pass that good feeling on to somebody else.
Damn it, man! Here you are with like the sincere ask, and I was about to crack a joke. I can't top. I can't stop on that fire.
I was gonna end on the note by just screaming Megalovania and just disconnecting.
Damn it! I would have thought of that.
I should have thought of that.
But I was like, you know what? Let's go the sincere out. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Posture check. Remember, posture check.
Should check.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Call your parents. Tell them you love them. Unless you don't like your parents, then call your dog. Tell them you love them.
Call your dog.
Call your dog.
Be sure to.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe for the next episode of Pause and Effect, hosted by me.
The next podcast is going to be, we're going to rate the hats of every single video game character.
Hey, honestly, that's not honestly, that would not be a terrible idea, but we would need visual aids because the audience needs to see this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to figure that out.
Yeah, we would have to do something with that. Because
honestly,
I could see us doing something like that because it honestly sounds like a really funny idea. Either as like a sincere episode or as like a April Fool's or something.
It's an entire joke episode. We're gonna
That's a good idea, actually.
No, we're gonna tier them based off 3 categories. 3, canonically wears a hat in their games. B, can wear a hat. C, unable to wear a hat.
And D doesn't.
Yeah, and D doesn't wear a hat. And
then doesn't wear a hat.
We're gonna tier everybody, and we're gonna try to do our best.
But yeah, I guess my only shill would be to Pause and Effect, hosted by me. So this is Pause. This is the host of Pause and Effect. Tell you to stay in school and brush your vegetables and eat your teeth.
That's great.
Wave to your neighbors. Tell your neighbors, have a good day. Pass on the good faith. And if you see a dollar bill on the ground, that might be drug money. Don't touch it.
Ah, shit, too late.
All right, a gumball for me and a gumball for Big Rick.
Oh my God.
I think that's on cue.
Yeah, that's our show, guys. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Like and subscribe if you wish. Share the podcast around if you can, and please stay tuned for the next episode. Take care now.